So yeah, as he mentioned, I've known. Is this good?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, as you mentioned, I've known TJ for a few years now. He's been a good friend. Don't ever be afraid to go talk to him with your problems. He's a good dude. Uh, yeah, as you mentioned, we've been talking. I was planning to come down to visit, and he asked me to speak with you guys because he kind of got a good idea of where my heart's at, and he asked me to come down and share that with you. But all things being honest, didn't really make a whole lot of sense to talk about a bunch of stuff that may or may not happen in a completely different city. But what I can do is explain why I feel the way I do and what that might have to do with you personally. Yeah, you don't know about the sheep and the goats, right? Story of the sheep and the goats. You don't have to go there, but just real quickly, it's Matthew 25 from 31. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go visit you?" The king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." And if you keep reading it, it goes further to say what you did or did not do. You know the story, right? Sheep and goats. Okay. Now, obviously, we're not talking about when your buddy needs to borrow a couple bucks, or when you got family stuff going on and you're the one to save the day. That's great, but that's not what we're talking about here. When Jesus said the least, you kind of got to stretch your perspective to think about what that means. Ain't like we got lepers walking around anymore, right? No. And yeah, we've all seen the guys outside the gas station asking for a couple bucks for a train ticket or whatever. Like, train, bro, you're here every day. We've all seen the guys on the center median with the poster board collage of their sick kids, right? Oh, right? Okay. But I'm not talking about any of them, because most of those dudes still got clean shoes, like me or you, right? I'm talking about the really obvious homeless people. The guys where one look tells you beyond a shadow of a doubt that this dude has been on the street for years. The guys that are incomprehensibly dirty, is caked on, is buried into the wrinkles on their leathery, sunburnt face. The guys who make their bed to sleep at night on a tarp in the dirt. I'm talking about the meth heads with no teeth, the heroin addicts, so sucked up and emaciated, they literally look like death. The guys with amputated limbs, prostitutes, gangbangers. The people that would steal from you as you're trying to help them. The lowest, least. It's hard. It's hard to relate to somebody like that, because their world is just different. Their priorities, values, ideals, everything about their lives is completely foreign to anybody with a bank account, a refrigerator. It's different. What's the point of giving money to a guy who's drinking a beer outside 7-Eleven at noon on a Tuesday? So what's the point of that, right? How do you even have a conversation with somebody that's just flat out schizophrenic? How do you do that? And we're talking about the dirtiest, the grimiest, the criminals, the lowest of the low here. But, what? You think God don't love them too? Maybe they're just not getting the signal. You know what I mean? Guess what? You're the signal. They may very well be completely blinded in darkness, but you go be the light. You commune with God, and God will sustain you, and you take that sustenance and you bring it to them. Oh, okay, cool story, bro. Why should I spend the time and the money and the effort to even try? What good is it even gonna do? I could give and give and give every day for the rest of my life, and nothing's gonna change. Nothing's gonna change. It's not gonna do any good. I'm not gonna help this guy get a driver's license and fix his resume and change it. He's not even willing to accept that kind of help. What good is a sandwich gonna do? I'll tell you something. You see these? See these? I keep it short so you can't really see, but there's a lot of grades up there. It's because I've been around a minute. I learned a few things. Don't get it twisted. I'm still very stupid. That's true. But there's something here, I can't really explain it. It's some kind of God math. It's beyond me. Okay? But let me put it like this. Okay? 500 years from now, when you're dust, when everything that you are has been reduced to dust in a box in the ground, you're not even worm food anymore. Just 500 years from now, what's really gonna matter about your life? Who's gonna remember your GPA? Who's gonna care how much you had in your bank account? Who's gonna remember if people thought you was cool? You take that kind of perspective, you know, what's really important? What's really gonna leave a lasting mark to endure? You know, you can have your degrees and your accolades and PhDs and your employee of the months. You can have all that. You can have all of that you want. I'm not trying to take any of that from you. But I will tell you, I will put the simple act of giving a hungry man a sandwich one time over your proudest accomplishments any day of the week. You don't have to turn it into a thing. You don't have to necessarily even have a conversation. Just see somebody who could probably use a sandwich. You see them, you know who they are, you see them around. Give them one, dip out. You don't have to change your life. You probably couldn't anyway. And besides the fact, that's not your job. That's his job. And he's better at it than you. Let him do that part. You plant the seed, keep him moving. Now, if you really chew on that, you can see it's not nothing. It's not a waste. It's not. It's actually a beautiful thing. God feeds the birds and the beasts, right? He looks after even the least of us, right? And that least of us dude over there, mumbling to himself with the ripped pants and 2 different shoes, crazy as he is, that guy gotta eat something today, right? So you go be that person. Use what God has blessed you with and provided you with, and make that multiply to feed sheep. I mean, honestly, it's presumptuous to even think it could be true. That God Almighty, the King of Kings, the one who put the sun in the sky, the only one to whom I kneel, God Almighty, who loves his children, obviously, all of them, obviously, and wants to care for them, obviously. God Almighty called on you to execute his perfect and sovereign will. It's not just a sandwich. Can you really tell me of any higher honor? You cannot. Truly I tell you, whatever you did for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine,